Hello to the pessimistic, optimistic, and everyone in between. My name is Connor Philippi, and welcome back to the Minnesotan Sports Podcast. And as we continue to get towards the end of the season, now there's 15, 16, 17, 18, there's 4 weeks left in the NFL season, and every single week gets closer to being the most important games. And there's some really good games coming up in the next few weeks. As we take a look at the standings here, there are currently, let's count them out here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 6 teams in the AFC right now that are all in a horse race for those top two or bottom two spots remaining in the AFC wildcard. Technically, the fifth spot is still up for grabs with the Browns, but they have a pretty good hold on that. On top of that, the Browns are still 2 games away from the Ravens. There are multiple teams that are away from their division leading teams in both sides of the conferences. All 4 of the top 4 spots in seeding are available in the AFC. On the NFC side, it could be the 49ers, Cowboys. I mean, the Lions even have a chance. And of course, the Eagles can still win out and get their number 2 seed back. The 49ers leapfrogged them recently. And then on that side of things, it's also very close because we have the Vikings at 7 and 6. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 teams on the NFC side. So there's a lot of stuff at stake. And so all these games are going to be very important this upcoming week. But let's get into some of these games because there's a lot of stuff to be excited about and make some predictions. So going into things here, it's kind of an interesting week because you got Thursday night game, of course. We got 3 Saturday night games. That's kind of less games on Sunday than usual. And then, of course, the normal Monday night. It's kind of another one of those weird weeks where it should be really exciting and fun, but just kind of jarring to wake up and have Saturday football. But I'm not going to complain about a whole extra day of football, especially when your team gets to play, even though I am pretty nervous about how it's going to turn out. But we've got the Chargers and the Raiders on Thursday Night Football, 2 very underperforming teams this season. I mean, the Raiders kind of performed up to my expectations of them, but everyone knows at this point, and people are probably sick of me complaining about it, but I was so high on the Chargers. I even had them winning the AFC West going into the season, and I could not have been more wrong about them. They continue to underperform offensively and defensively. I mean, last game honestly wasn't too bad defensively, but they're just paying their defensive players way too much for them to perform in that way. I don't know how Staley isn't going to be fired by the end of this season. I would expect a changing of the guard pretty soon at this point. And on the Raiders side, I mean, they were dealt some unfortunate hand with Garoppolo's injury and all that stuff. I don't know if it's necessarily the Raiders aren't exactly a team that you were like, okay, they better accomplish this or that. I mean, this is about it where we thought they'd be. In this game, I'm going to have to go with the Chargers here, and this is a horse race. The Raiders are favored, but seeing the way they played against the Vikings did everything they could to give the Raiders that game, and they still lost. The Chargers, I think, have just a little more offensive firepower than the Raiders do right now. I mean, even as unperforming as the Chargers defense has been, they still have enough guys on that team that should be able to take care of Aiden O'Connell and this Las Vegas offense that's been so lackluster. So I'm going to go with the Raiders there. In pretty soon after uploading this video, I'm going to be uploading the Vikings at Bengals preview video. As a Minnesotan sports podcast, I always make a separate preview of that game, of the upcoming Vikings game. So make sure you tune in for that one. But just to spoil things, I don't necessarily think it's going to go great for the Minnesota Vikings in that game. Steelers at Colts. This is another battle between 2 7 and 6 teams. Indianapolis is favored to win this game. The Steelers defense has been phenomenal, and it's possible Minshew magic comes to more of a screeching halt in this game. They were definitely humbled by the Bengals in the last week's game. Man, it's just tough because the Steelers defense should be good enough to take care of this Colts offense. But at the same time, I mean, this offense for the Steelers has done nothing. I mean, it's impossible. It feels impossible for the offense to have gotten worse after Matt Canada left, or got fired, I should say. But it almost has at this point. It's just unbelievable. I feel like the home field advantage is just enough for me to give this win to the Colts, although I think it's going to be another really close one. Broncos at Lions. This is a game that, after the first few weeks of the season, the way the Broncos played, I did not expect this game to be good and potentially close. But the Lions kind of sputtering in the last few weeks, losing a really tough one to the Packers about a month ago, or actually less than a month ago, against the Packers on Thanksgiving, and then losing a really tough one to the Bears. Just the Lions are getting exposed for some of their weaknesses right now, and I've said all season long they are a very streaky team, and if they're riding a high going into the playoffs, they could still do very well, but right now they're riding that low, and the Broncos right now are kind of a tough team to be able to get out of that hole against. They are a crafty team. They find ways to win when you don't think they should. I still am going to go with the Lions on this one. I think the Lions were definitely woken up in that last game against the Bears. They're putting things into perspective now, and I think the offense is going to wake up once again. This Broncos team is going to feel the full force of Ford Field. There's a lot of F's there. And Jared Goff is still playing good football. He has been struggling in the last couple weeks, but I do think the Lions will turn this one around and win on Saturday night against the Broncos. Scrolling down here, Bears at Browns. I fully expect the Browns to win this game. I don't think this Bears offense, although they did play really well against the Lions, I don't think they can hold up right now against the Browns right now. The way their defensive line is just destroying everyone in their path. You know, the last game was a very, very rare offensive shootout, and I don't think that's going to happen again, especially not against the Bears and Justin Fields. And not to mention the fact that Joe Flacco, like I mentioned in my Week 14 storylines video that I just uploaded a couple days ago, Joe Flacco has honestly been playing well. Like, it's not even like he's playing well for someone who was just on his couch a couple weeks ago. He's playing genuinely well for an NFL quarterback. And it's a crazy story. I just think the Browns offense is going to do just enough to carry this team past the Bears with the way that their defense is playing. Buccaneers at Packers, 2 6-7 teams. Buccaneers winning their division right now, the lowly NFC South, and the Packers fighting to get back into a playoff spot. Man, this is a tough one. I got to go with the Packers here. I think that the Packers showed enough fight against the Giants, even though that was a frustrating win or loss for them. They really were given every chance to win that game, and they weren't able to do it. That being said, I don't think that the Buccaneers have it anymore. I mean, I really think that they got off to a great start, and then things just really started to dissipate for them. Jordan Love, he has made mistakes, he really has, but I trust the Packers more, and I trust the play calling that the Packers have had so far this season over the Bucs. Right now, the Buccaneers with some very questionable decision making in these games. I just don't know, especially in whenever you get those low competition divisions like that. I don't know. I have a bad feeling about the way this NFC South is going to continue to go the rest of the season. I think the Packers will win this game. They're also 4-2 at home, so that definitely helps them as well. Texans at Titans. You know, the Titans are a very sneaky team right now. A lot of this is going to come down to if CJ Stroud can play. Him being in concussion protocol right now after just sustaining that concussion last week, I really don't think he should be played in this game. Is there a good chance that the Texans could still win even without Stroud in? I think so, but with Collins out as well, I mean, it's going to be really tough sledding for them in this game. I got to go with the Titans here. They're riding high off of that positive energy of taking down the Dolphins. If they were playing any other better team than the Texans, I definitely think they'd come crashing back down. But I just think that Derrick Henry will be enough to carry the Titans past a team that is just absolutely crushed right now by injuries. I mean, it's not anything against the Texans. I think that if they had their full cast in, they would easily win this game. But I don't have any confidence that Stroud will play. If he does, he won't be 100%. I have to pick the Texans or Titans for that reason. Jets at Dolphins. The Dolphins are mad, and the Jets are bad. I'm just going to leave it at that. The Dolphins are coming off of a loss that I think really hit the team hard. I mean, based off of the way that, obviously coaches always talk about how their team is distraught in the locker room and how they are going to use it as fuel. But based on the reactions of the players in Miami, I really do feel like they're going to come around with a quick turnaround. They're going to play with a lot of fire this upcoming week, and it doesn't take much to beat the Jets, so I do think the Dolphins will get that job done. Tyreek Hill's injuries coming back to bite him in the last game will definitely be something to monitor for that team, though, going forward throughout the rest of the season. Chiefs at Patriots. Chiefs win. Patriots suck. I'm not going to even go into that one. I mean, come on. As much as I want to clown on Mahomes and how unsportsmanlike he was at the end of that game, which he was, and as much as I would love to see the Chiefs get upset by the Patriots because of all that, I mean, come on. Patriots are 1-6 at home, and the Chiefs are still the Chiefs. Even with all the struggles, they're not the same team they've been the last few weeks, but Patrick Mahomes could probably beat the Patriots right now by himself. It's a testament to Mahomes, but also the fact that the Patriots are just so bad on defense right now, and on top of that, they're who even is playing quarterback this week? I believe it might be Zappy. Who even knows? That's how bad the Patriots are right now. Giants at Saints. Now the Giants are showing a lot more resolve and playing a lot better than you'd think. I mean, the story with the Giants and the quarterback that's come in, it's just an incredible story. And watching his parents in the crowd and everything, it's just been really fun. But at home for the Saints, I don't know. They've had some injury struggles. If Olave doesn't play, it's going to be a lot more of a toss-up. But I don't know. I feel like I got to go with the Saints to win this game. I mean, I feel like at home in a game where they are fighting for their lives within their division. I mean, I just have a good feeling about the Saints. The Giants they're a great story right now, but I just still don't think they're a team that can hang with some of these teams in the NFC. So I think they're gonna find where their bar is this week, and the Saints will get that job done. Falcons at Panthers. Falcons win. Commanders at Rams. The Rams are honestly playing some good football right now, and I feel like every week I've tried to find reasons to write them off, and every week they've proven to me that they are a much better team than I think they are. I mean, they almost found a way to beat the Ravens, scored so many points in Baltimore, went to overtime against what is right now the number one seed in the AFC. I mean, they've shown a lot of resolve with a lot of different, talent. Nakua has been a great story this season. And the Commanders, they're struggling big time. Howell, it's going to be a lot of questions coming up in that organization of whether or not he's the guy for them going forward. I'm going to go with the Rams to win that one against the Commanders. 49ers at Cardinals. This is a pretty easy one. The 49ers are not going to lose the rest of the season. I really don't think that, at least the rest of the regular season. Purdy is playing phenomenally, but he really, it doesn't hold a candle to what McCaffrey has done for this team. And Ayuk has been a great story for them as well this season, putting up some incredible numbers. I think the 49ers win this one very handily. Cowboys at Bills. This should be a pretty close game. I mean, the Bills were able to beat the Chiefs this last game. I mean, I think that the Bills could honestly be, 8-5, even 9-4 if some of these games had swung the other way in the last few minutes. I mean, they almost beat the Eagles. Well, I'm trying to think of some other teams that they came really close against. And, they should have beaten the Broncos in that game. That was just a really bad game by them. But the Bills are a better team than a lot of people give them credit for this season. Obviously, Josh Allen continues to make those mistakes, but I still think that their defense and the talent they have on their offense right now, they deserve to be in the playoffs. I think they're one of the better 7-6 teams in the AFC right now, and I think it would be a much more entertaining playoff to have the Bills in there as opposed to some of the teams that are fighting for it right now. But none of that has to do with the games that are coming up, and the Bills still have tough games coming up, including this one against the Cowboys and against the Dolphins. This is a really tough one. The Bills are actually favored to win this game. See, because the thing is, the Cowboys have about just as much to play for as the Bills do right now, even at 10-3. because they want to keep this NFC East division. And of course, it's still out of their control right now because the Eagles could win out and still would jump over them for that spot. But I don't know. I think the Cowboys win this game. I think that I hate to say it, but as much as I clown on Dak Prescott and have clowned on him in seasons past, Prescott is having a potentially MVP caliber season. And I hate to say it, but it's true. And this Cowboys team is playing very well. They are 3-3 away. That's something to monitor. Their only losses so far this season have been away. But I don't know. I trust this offense way too much right now. What they'll do in the playoffs is a whole different story because they always choke in the playoffs. But I don't know. I feel good about them going down this stretch, and it should be a close one. But give me the Cowboys to win that game. Ravens at Jags. Now, Lawrence and the Jags put up a really bad performance in their last game. Ravens had a really electric finish to their last game, and that honestly could be a formula for the Jags to win this game. I mean, it's gonna be kind of a tough one to predict here, but I just have this feeling that when the Ravens win a game in the way they did, a very high emotion win in a miraculous way, sometimes that energy can end up working against you in those situations. And it just, man, the Jags also have been pretty stagnant the last couple weeks offensively. Trevor Lawrence, I'm sure, still isn't fully healed from that injury that I still don't know how he came back so quickly from. I was about to say I would think that the Jaguars could pull off this upset, but the more and more the gears turn in my head, I have to go with the Ravens to win this game. They've been playing too well. They are a streaky team, and it feels like they have been a streaky team all season, the last few seasons, and you always are concerned that Jackson's going to end up getting hurt. But for now, I got to go with the Ravens. I think they're going to continue to have a hold on that number one seed. And on top of that, the Jags feel like they have the division pretty well secured, especially with the Texans now potentially being without Stroud for at least a week. I feel like the Ravens are fighting for a lot right now. They're even at number one in the conference. They're still trying to prove a lot of people wrong. And so I'm going to go with the Ravens to win this game. And for those of you who've been watching my videos for a while know that there's an upset of the week every single week. And you're waiting for it because I'm a Vikings fan. I'm biased against the Eagles. But out of all of these games, when it comes to one upset that I think is the most likely, I think it's the Seahawks against the Eagles right now. The Eagles are 10-3, but they have not been playing that way as of late. They've been crushed by the 49ers and the Cowboys. They are trying to get back on 2 feet, and their momentum is just going down right now. And the Seahawks, the last few weeks, they have been playing some really good football. They almost defeated the Cowboys a couple weeks back. I mean, I definitely can see the Seahawks team overcoming this Eagles team. Philadelphia only favored by 4, which is not something you usually expect when a team is 10-3 going up against a 6-7 team. But of course, Seattle is always bumping one of the best crowds in Major League sports. And I don't know. I feel like the Seahawks can definitely get to this Eagles team. If there's one game I think could be an upset this week, it's got to be this one. I feel the most confident about that happening. So, anyway, those are my predictions for week 15 of the NFL season. Again, a very important slate of games for the playoffs. A lot of 7-6 teams squaring off. A lot of teams that are either fighting for their division or fighting for a playoff spot are facing off. So let me know in the comments what you think about my predictions, whether you agree or disagree with them. Make your own predictions. Throw out some hot takes for me in the comments. I always love to read those. And the Vikings and Bengals prediction is coming in the next either few hours or the next day from when you watch this one. And of course, the rest of the content coming up throughout the rest of the week. Very excited for it. And a lot of MLB offseason stuff I'm sure is coming in the coming few weeks. But thanks so much for watching this one, and please like and subscribe. I'll see you on the flip side.